Good day to everyone. On today's video, we're going to look at Bitcoin's most recent price action, our next levels of interest. We're going to look at the altcoin market with Ethereum, Litecoin, and EOS as well. Stay with us. Okay, and we're on our Bitcoin daily chart now, and we have our modified shift pitchfork. You could go ahead and check out our last video where we showed the 3 pivot points to set this up. Very easy to do so. More importantly, moving forward, last video we were consolidating price on this 50 moving average, and I said we were at a critical juncture with Bitcoin. It has to prove something to us because, as you can see, the last several weeks we have not closed above this trend line. Okay, I did say there was a good probability we would come down to test this liquidity area of 10-100, 10-200, which we did. We had price action proceed to the upside, but again, rejection. No closings above this trend line, and now we have price action that came down even further to these moving averages. We did get a little bounce, and now we have just pretty much some sideways consolidation. We do have some low market acceptance in this area, so we could very well bounce down again and just kind of go and consolidate between this area. So for now, I would need to see Bitcoin to get into a different bullish mindset for myself. I would need to see some price action continue to the upside, catch some moving averages, go above this trend line and consolidate with a nice bullish pattern to take us more to the upside, to possibly then have that descending triangle become invalidated, which I would be fine with. But again, more on the defensive side, just looking to see what price action does from here. But let's go ahead and zoom into our 1 hour so we can get that better look. Okay, and we did have our pennant, and we did share with a breakout would bring us to around 11,000 or so, which we were just about there, or a break to the downside would bring us to around 10-100 or so roughly. So we did have that breakout to the upside. I did not take any position in this pennant, or when we did break out, just how price action was looking, and also risk reward just was not there for me at that point. Due to we have this trend line of resistance, we have another trend line of resistance here, and we have the top of the triangle. So with all that, I did not feel comfortable taking a position, and it turned out being the right move. Okay, so we did have our breakdown, and now we're just kind of consolidating price here. We bounced off the 100 moving average, which I did say in the past I was looking to take maybe a position at that point off that moving average, but just due to how price action's looking currently and how weak things are, a lot of uncertainty, I feel more comfortable just staying on the sidelines and seeing where things go from here, because patience, I believe, is the #1 most important thing in trading, followed by risk management and then your entry. So those 3 things I look for, and I feel those are very important. Okay, but let's go ahead and look at our altcoin market, and we'll take a look at the market cap excluding Bitcoin. Okay, so we're on a total market cap excluding Bitcoin, and we did have an area that was significant for support and resistance, which you would want to hold and get a bounce off to have some hope for the altcoin market, which fortunately for them, we did have that bounce, right? So we got a bounce off this level, but we have a rejection off this 50 moving average and this 9 exponential just kind of in between now. So we have, again, more indecision. And with a lot of these situations with Ethereum, Litecoin, EOS, what have you, there is more possibility for downside before some upside. So that's keeping me hesitant with taking any positions on the altcoin end of things, even though we did have a breakout. And of course, with crypto, you always have to be mindful of false breakouts. So to show that we do have some more room for downside here, let's just look at the Fibonacci retracement briefly. And we have that set up, and you can see we had the failure of the 618, which is never a good sign. And we're kind of just in the middle, although we did hold this line of support here, we still have some room in the middle to go either way. So again, I'm going to need some more information before I take any positions one way or another. But let's go ahead and look at Litecoin. Okay, we have this on the daily, but I believe looking at the 4 hour, will be better. Okay, and again, the reason why I held off on positions is the possibility of some more downside. Now we have the, again, possibility of this ascending triangle to go into full fruition. We could possibly bounce back down in here, consolidate, and then, you know, play around with price action for quite a while before we do have a nice breakout. But this is obviously a bullish pattern, but I want to see it develop more before, again, I take any positions. Right now we are consolidating on the top, but we could very well consolidate and take off or dip back, hit the bottom of this triangle or some moving averages in the middle of the triangle and then take off. Again, we have some possibility of some downside, so I need some more information before I rush into any positions. But again, consolidating on top of this triangle, we'll see how it goes from there. A lot of possibilities, especially one for some more downside before we go up, as I did say with a lot of these coins. Let's go ahead and look at ETH. Yeah, so on the daily, we do have the descending wedge. We did have this breakout here, but again, we do have some resistance that came at the 50 moving average. It looks like price is trying to get above, which is a good sign. But again, as with a lot of our other coins, we do have the possibility of price coming down to retest the top of this wedge before it takes off to, you know, sustain its bullish trend. So let's just zoom into 4 hour to get a better look at that. Okay, again, so we did have price breakout. We do look like it does have some nice upward consolidation, which is a good sign for me, but just that I'm more defensive at this point with how the altcoin market has looked. We do have that possibility of coming down to retest the top of this wedge. So again, I just want to see some more information, a little more price action. Do we consolidate here to continue a bullish momentum up? Do we break down a little bit, test this top of this wedge before we go off again? So with that indecision, I'm just holding off on a couple things right now. But if we do have a sustained move to the upside with some nice volume, let's take a look at some targets so we could see what we are working with. Now this area does have a little bit too much negative space for me, so we'll check out two areas, two targets, one using from this part of the wedge and another from this part. Because again, there's some negative space, so we'll just look at both scenarios. Okay, so we had a breakout here roughly. Let's take a look at this other area. Okay, bear with me one moment. Again, we had roughly this area. So again, you could look anywhere from around the 260 to 270 area. Maybe start taking profits at the 260 area. But again, we're just going to see how price action rolls at the time and how that's looking. So roughly, I'll just set that box up there. If we do have, as I said, a sustained move that looks considerable with volume, maybe we can make it up to there, because that would be the measured breakout. And again, I'll just see how price action is handling these moving averages and the bottom of this area if we do get there. Okay, so that's roughly where we could look for some targets if we do have that sustained breakout on Ethereum. And let's just go ahead and take a quick look at EOS. Okay, and on EOS now, this is the daily scale. Let's go ahead and look at the weekly just for a moment. Again, just to see my area of 29175, where that came from, all the way back here to 2017, a area of strong support and resistance from quite a ways back. Okay, so now let's again just look at the 4 hour. We did have this rising channel, which of course usually breaks down to the downside. And I said I'd be looking at this $3 area to possibly front run my 29175. But we had both areas front run, which is very common in crypto. And now we had EOS on this very nice run, looking as one of the most bullish in the pack with the most percentages. But of course now I'm not looking to FOMO into any position. We do have a possibility of some downside to retest here. We retested once, this 9 exponential. We could possibly come down to retest. And just overall how alts have been looking in such a long time, I'm not looking to just jump into a position. We have to be wary of false breakouts and just runs that won't sustain, because one day they're up 20% and the next day they're right back down to where they were. So again, I just need to see some strong consolidation above this area, above this volume profile, to possibly think about a next position. But again, as with Ethereum, let's take a look at some targets if the run is sustained. So we have our extension. Okay, and we get to that 1.618, which is always a hot spot. We have our rejection off there. And for the next targets, again, if we have this continued sustained run, but we're going to need to see some volume. Okay, I'd be looking at around this 4.2 to 4.3426 area. This, again, has been a strong level of support and resistance going back in history. And we don't have very strong volume profile in this area, so we could very easily get up to this 4.2. So as far as targets, again, you can just put rectangle, and I'd be looking in this area of 4.2 to 4.34. Again, I'd like to see us get above this 1.618, consolidate here, and then take off. If we get a good consolidation on there, I would very strongly think about a position rather than if we came here and consolidated, because that would show more bullish action when we would be already above this volume profile. Okay, so again, just a lot of hurry up and wait right now. There's a lot of factors that could go either way. Again, I'm on the more defensive side with trading, as I'm looking for this for the long term, and preservation of capital is always an important factor in making any decisions. Okay, so with all that said for today, I'm going to leave the video there. I do wish everyone well. Good luck in all your trades, and thank you for tuning into the tavern.